Welcome to this selection from the Stereoscopic Society's annual exhibition for 2025. Digital images were entered in 6 individual categories. These will be shown interspersed with sets of images from each of the selectors and also entries in the Images on a Theme category, 2D to 3D conversions and slides. The slides were digitised for judging. The first category is digital, people, pets and domestic animals. This attracted 24 images from 16 entrants.
Tortoise is by Dennis Bursma. On the walk after Harrogate, Helen Beauville says, "No window violations here." The Art of the Deal by Carl Bromwich captures the culmination of a lengthy bartering session at a Spanish holiday resort. Carl also took this image, Spanish Senorita, in the resort of Sitges, some 35 kilometres south of Barcelona. Neil Crick says, "Cannon at the ready." Clubs or cleavers? Asks Bob Taylor. Dennis Bursma calls this image Big Cat, Small Cat. Girish Jerram's title for this fine camel image is Sand Stop. Inside the Kaleidoscope is by Phil Palmer. And Artist at Work is by Brian Dunster. Andy Blakemore introduces Our Cat Freddy. Grazing on the Beach. Carl Bromwich had hoped for a candid shot but was spotted. The couple kindly posed anyway. The next 3 images were commended. Get in the Swing was taken by Helen Beauville at the Black Country Open Air Museum. George Themelis has photographed this air show from above. Neil Crick calls this commended picture Passing a Book. The runner-up is The Actor, also by Neil Crick. But the winner is David Kuntz, who has captured this Trail Rider.
This set of images are by selector Gerlind May. The next category is digital, scenery, and here 33 images were entered by 19 stereographers.
Rob Cayley calls this image Beach Scene. This path to the Falls of Foyers near Inverness was photographed by Phil Palmer. The Oregon coast near Lincoln City is by Randy Bornhorst. Lake Moraine in Alberta, Canada is by Terry Turnber. The camera was a twinned Olympus XA rig. Terry Turnber photographed this Canyonlands view with his home-built tri-delta beam splitter on a Sony camera. Frosty Marina was shot by Helen Beauville in Hull. This image of the fountains at Trafalgar Square, London, is by Andy Blakemore. Terry Turnber noticed this couple standing on the edge. Lone Walker on the Seven Sisters, photo by Colin Metherill. This balanced rock was spotted by Terry Turnber. Helen Beauville calls this beautiful water mirror shot Bridge over Untroubled Water. This equestrian statue of the Duke of Wellington is in front of the Royal Exchange in the City of London. Photo by Derek Medhurst. The arches next to St John's Church, Shobden, were photographed by Bob Price from next to the church. Courthouse Butte at sunset was photographed by David Kuntz. This fine bluebell vista is at Wards Wood, Luton. Photo by George Collin. This commended image, Winter Sun, is from the camera of Bernard Foote. Also commended is Boats on Derwent Water in the Lake District. It was taken by Alan Wright. There were two runners-up, and the first is New Forest Stream by Bob Taylor. Denis Alishev is the second runner-up with -10 in Glencoe. George Collin is the winner with his photograph D Estuary.
In the common theme category, members are invited to enter a set of up to 4 images with brief supporting text to illustrate their theme. There were 19 entries from 20 entrants. One set was a collaboration.
Neil Crick has been photographing red squirrels at Brownsea Island. Brownsea Island in the middle of Poole Harbour is one of the safest and largest strongholds of red squirrels in the south of England. Neil included their environment to enhance the viewer's feeling of immersion in the squirrel's habitat. The pictures were taken with a Sony A6000 dual rig with Sony 55 to 210mm zoom lenses. Bill Thompson tells us, "These images give a flavour of the Christmas lights display in the Western Burt Arboretum this year. The light decorations were varied and extensive with several themes. This ground cover of lights was playing to music. Nine Ladies Dancing was part of a 12 Days of Christmas feature with woven figures. The final exit section was a long light tunnel. Bernard Foote shows us the Chinner and Princes Risborough Railway. This is a local railway preservation society operating veteran steam and diesel locomotives. First, installing the lamps. Manning the signal box. Ex-GWR pannier tank with a rake of chocolate and cream. And last of all, Loco crew portrait. Mary Paul has taken a walk along the Thames. First, she found a derelict boat on the riverbank in very poor condition. Then a boathouse entrance across the river, but no boats were at home. She found another boathouse with a duck swimming peacefully. This is near the end of her walk at Hambledon Weir. It was interesting to see the ducks feeding in the shallow water and the debris that had been washed down to the weir. Denis Alishev was cross-country skiing with his wife Yulia in a small town in Russia. A nice 10-mile run on January the 1st. A good start to the year. Yulia was patient and allowed him to stop to take pictures every 100 metres. All images were taken using Cha-Cha with his mobile phone. Dennis Bosma spotted this artwork on Hastings Beach. The theme is "Not in my backyard." Here we have penguins coming in on a rubber boat, presumably from Antarctica. Signposts highlight the key locations in the story. And Prime Minister Rishi Sunak gives his ruling to the poor penguin. Xiao Fenghua loves taking photos of lotus flowers. These were all taken on his Promar 3D smartphone cameras. Fenghua tells us, "God helped a lot with my shooting by giving me wonderful light conditions for all the shots." This shot is called Sorrow of Lotus, and the flower had fallen down onto the lotus leaf, elegantly and gracefully showing her beauty. Mike Hilliard tells us Little Morton Hall is one of the best-known half-timbered houses in Britain, rising from the flat Cheshire plain that surrounds it. Its riotously decorated timbers are as impressive as they were when first hewn, carved and hefted into place some 500 years ago. This was a house that was built to impress. It is a lasting reminder of the sophistication and craftsmanship of the Tudor era. It is a building of great structural ingenuity, dazzling carpentry, plasterwork, painting and glazing. An inspiration to all who visit. Phil Palmer takes us to Manchester Old and New. This brash bar is hiding away in the Victorian Barton Arcade. Phil calls this image "customer notice." Beautiful detail within Manchester Cathedral. Modernistic building and smart bus around Noma, which is the North Manchester development area. Finally, in St Peter's Square. The next two entries were commended. Derek Medhurst has photographed the horse Give Him the Honour jumping one fence at Plumpton Racecourse. These 4 photos were frames extracted from a video clip to create a sequence of stills. Starting with the head appearing over the fence, through these middle shots, and ending with the tail disappearing on the landing side. Also commended, Andrei Jablonski takes us to Britain's last major bell foundry. Here we see casting in progress. John Taylor and Co. are located in Loughborough and undertake all manner of bell work. Here a rope cradle is being made. Here we see cast bells. Other work undertaken includes construction of bell ringing cradles and support structures. This part of the shop deals with tuning. Carl Bromwich's theme is steampunk, and his entry was the runner-up. Steampunk is a fantasy world set in the Victorian era of steam power. Fans of the genre dress up every year and visit Haworth in West Yorkshire. The objective is to raise funds for a local charity. Poetry in Depth, a collaboration by Vanessa Grein and David Kuntz, was the winner. Each of these images was inspired by a specific poem, and a key phrase is embedded in the image. First, The Second Coming by Yeats. Next, The Tiger by William Blake. Poetry excels at eliciting visualization. Now The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Poems are an inspiration and natural starting point for the photographer. Finally, The Surfer by Judith Wright.
Now we have the category Digital, Buildings Inside and Out. This attracted 22 images from 16 stereographers.
This snicket was photographed at Robin Hood's Bay by Colin Metherill. Wells Cathedral was photographed by Paul Hutchins. Denis Alishev has captured Edinburgh Old Town. This image of HMS Belfast and the Shard is by Paul Hutchins. Golden Hour Express is by Linda Kazanjian. Andy Raven calls this Straight Through. Paul Hutchins has taken this photograph at Apsley House, once the Duke of Wellington's home, No. 1 London. Anatolia Lane's After Rain. This Turkish image was taken by Denis Alishev. Phil Palmer has photographed this beautiful hall at the Schloss Nymphenburg near Munich. Brian Davis calls this photograph Abandoned Cabin. This shop window in Grasmere was spotted by Alan Wright. The image was commended. Also commended, Bob Taylor has spotted this seaside sauna. The runner-up in the buildings category was Rooftops of Prague, photographed by David Kuntz. And the winner was Vanessa Grein with Mars on display in the Painted Hall in the Old Royal Naval College in Greenwich.
Next, we have the category 2D to 3D conversions. In the section Conversions with Significant Author Input, there were 6 images from 2 entrants. In the Leopix and Similar Conversions section, there were 6 images from 3 entrants. And in the AI Creations section, 2 images from just 1 entrant.
Sign Here is by John Hayes. Pink Rose Pencil Drawing was made by David Hensel. The runner-up in this category is David Hensel's image Neon Pin-Up. But the winner is Alien by John Hayes. Watts Tower fisheye is Susan Pinsky's creation. It is an AI enhancement of one of her images, Leopix converted. Kathy Reuter shows us Winter 2005. This image was a runner-up in this category. As was Ascent of the Alalinhorn by Bill Thompson. And Bill was also the winner with Glaciers Are Not Always Pristine White. Susan Pinsky as sole entrant won this category with Airhouse. This was an AI creation, Leopix converted.
The next set of images is the work of selector Kevin Harvey. The category Digital, Creative and Imaginative produced 6 images from 5 entrants.
Vanessa Grine has created this Wandering Wraith. Pour the coffee, says Jack Colbran. There were 2 runners-up in the creative section, and the first is Susan Pinsky's dynamic image, Daily Commute. Christmas Angel is the work of David Kuntz and was the second runner-up. Vanessa Grine was the winner with Endless Possibilities.
In the slide category, 4 entrants submitted work, and we had 14 images.
Nikolai Bazov made this slide of Simonside Rocks near Rothbury in Northumberland. And this slide, also by Nikolai, shows Chapel Tower, Conwy Castle. Francis Heath tells us this cavalryman is on guard. Watching Watchers was taken by Kate Sullivan in Coalhouse Fort, Essex. These friendly enthusiasts were happy to pose for a shot. Francis Heath has captured the graceful Alexandre Trois Bridge over the Seine. The Grand Palais is behind. Support behind the lines is also by Francis Heath, and this image was commended. Also commended was Pretty Maid. This is Keith Webb's very appropriate title for the picture. Pumpkins for sale, says Francis Heath. This is the runner-up in the slides section. But the winner is this fine view of the Gate Tower and Caesar's Tower, Warwick Castle, by Nikolai Bazov.
The category Digital, Human-Made Objects attracted 45 images from 28 stereographers.
Cromer Beach Tractor is by George Collin. HMS Belfast Armoury is Paul Hutchins's title for this view inside the ship's 6-inch gun shell room. The Kelpies at Falkirk were photographed by Brian Davis. With Open Hands is by Carl Bromwich. It captures one of the many sculptures to be found in the Spanish resort of Sitges. Folds is Andy Raven's title for this bronze detail. Deco Bird is by David Starkman. Groyne, New Brighton. This photograph was taken by Rob Cayley near Birkenhead on the Wirral. Bernard Foote has captured the detail on this pound coin. Sculpture Park near Dorchester was photographed by Neil Crick. Wheel Rims at the Blacksmith's Shop is by Mary Paul. David Starkman shows us the 39 Oldsmobile mascot. This street cabinet graffiti in Chester is nice, says Mike Hilliard. Before the Gig at Sharmanka Kinetic Theatre, Glasgow, was captured by Denis Alishev. John Doubleday's statue of Dylan Thomas is near the theatre in Swansea. Picture by Derek Medhurst. Fountain is by Girish Jaram. And Girish has also photographed light circles. Away in a Manger is by Mike Hilliard, seen at Chester Cathedral. This black and white image of a thresher David Kuntz calls Belt Drive. Savile Garden's Christmas Lights was photographed by Mary Paul. Sleeping Troll is Dennis Bursmer's title for this image. The Knife Angel, aka the National Monument Against Violence and Aggression, is formed of 100,000 knives. Photo by Phil Palmer. Linda Kazanjian has looked through the recycling portal. The Romanesque font at St Michael's Church, Castle Frome, is by Bob Price. Playground Spiral is by Andrzej Jablonski. David Starkman has captured this drive-in special. The Water of Life bronze at Chester Cathedral was photographed by Mike Hilliard. Ploughing the Fields is Brian Davis's title for this detail taken of the Marquis of Pombal's statue in Lisbon. Pontiac Concept Car is from the camera of David Starkman and was a commended image. There were two runners-up, and the first, Death Valley Cyclist, was photographed by Brian Davis. Vanessa Grine's Half Moon Glow was the second runner-up. But the winner was The Detroit Fist by George Themelis.
Selector Guise Laville provided the next set of images. The final category is digital natural history. Here, 11 entrants provided 20 images.
Oak Leaf Bud Bursting is by Bob Price. Ladybird on Daisy was taken by Andrzej Jablonski. Speckled Wood in the Woods is Helen Boville's title for this photograph. Archangel is by Bernard Foote. This dingy skipper butterfly has just emerged. Photo by Bob Price. Sun-Kissed Frost was captured by Linda Kazanjian. Announcing the Rut is Andrzej Jablonski's title for this photograph. Linda Kazanjian calls this image Mushrooms in the Spotlight. The next three images are all by George Themelis and all were commended. First, flower detail. George has come face to face with a visitor. And here George has caught this bee ready to land. The first runner-up is Bob Taylor. Curious Fox is definitely interested in Bob's cameras. Andrzej Jablonski is the second runner-up and has captured this pollen-laden honeybee. And Linda Kazanjian is the winner with microscopic radiolaria fossils.
Each year, an image is selected, which is regarded as the stand-out image over all of the categories. Next, we look back at these overall winners from the past 6 years. In 2019, Lee Pratt was the winner with Fishing in Colorado. In 2020, George Themelis was the winner with Hawk. And George was winner again in 2021 with Pet Fox. In 2022, Barry Aldous was the winner with Late Autumn Morning Walk. And in 2023, it was George Themelis with Eagle Close-Up. And George was winner again in 2024 with Chicago Fireworks by the Lake. We now recap on the winners from each of the 2025 categories. And now we announce that the overall winner of the Stereoscopic Society Annual Exhibition 2025 is Linda Kazanjian with microscopic radiolaria fossils.